Plop, plop. You're listening to Turdcast. I'm Joe Lycett, and this is the podcast, or pottycast, where some of the best-loved names in show business talk business. From bog standards to demon dumps, we've all got a toilet story to tell. Joining me for a trip in the Turdis, it smells worse on the inside than the outside, is a genuine sporting legend on and off the pitch with 48 career goals for England and one dump on the field against the Republic of Ireland. Today, he's swapping the big match for the smallest room. Gary Lineker, welcome to Turdcast.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel a little bit flushed.
Yes. A bit nervous?
A little bit tense.
Would you like a prune?
Maybe after.
Yes. Before we get into this, are you comfortable talking about toilet stuff?
Absolutely. I've spent a lot of time talking about toilet stuff over the years.
Right.
Once my little accident became public knowledge, which was about 20 years after the event.
Oh, really? Before we get into it, I'd like to know if you have like an ideal setup for a toilet. Is there at home, is that your favourite toilet, or is there one that you know about somewhere else that you go, that's the one at Match of the Day or something like that?
No, I try not to poo at Match of the Day.
Right.
Not during the show, anyway.
No.
Whereas, unlike football, which I on occasion, I'd like to go. If I'm going to do a dump and I'm at home, I will go up to my bedroom.
Right.
To generally do it.
And can you set the scene for us? What are we talking? Is it
We're talking
similar size room to this, or
a little bit bigger than this? But it's not just a toilet.
Okay.
It has my showers in and my, sinks and stuff like that. So this is before people think it's a monstrously big bathroom. This is a relatively small room, but it would be a big room if it was just for a toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point where everybody just wanted to talk about that, and when it became public knowledge, and I kind of just about the same time as I went on Twitter, as it was then known, and every single tweet that I would put out underneath it would be whatever I was talking about. Say I was talking about, I'm going to see Joe Lycett this afternoon. It'll be shat on Joe Lycett,
right?
And every multitudes of them all saying whatever the subject. If I was talking about Manchester City, be shat on Manchester City. So,
wow,
brilliantly witty of them all.
Yeah, God, football fans are so.
But in the end,
clever, aren't
they had this thing where you could mute words, so I muted shat, and I've really not seen any since. It actually works.
Well, I had seen that your Twitter had sometimes, in response to some of your, I suppose, more political tweets, that seems to be the level of the people that are against you on some of these political ideas. The level of debate is around that sort of thing, isn't it?
Stick to shitting on a pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
I mean, I think we need to address the Blue Peter pooping elephant in the room. Not only do you have a shitting yourself story, I would say you have one of the all-time great
I'm very
shitting
proud
yourself
of it.
stories.
I'm proud of it.
I'm calling it the Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane. I like that.
Beautiful. Please tell us about your Citizen Kane story.
Well, it was the World Cup of 1990. Our opening game was against the Republic of Ireland, as you said, in Cagliari. Sardinia, and the night before the game I started to feel a little bit not well, and I was up half the night with diarrhea. Was wondering whether I'd be able to play. I didn't want to miss the first World Cup game. Of course.
Off the back of a spag bol, I hear. Do you think it was a spag bol?
It might have been. It might have been something, but I don't think anyone else was unwell. It might have just been a bug, or who knows what it was. But so
nerves? Could it have been? It was definitely.
I think nerves, you get a rumbly tummy, but diarrhea all night. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not.
And I never really felt nervous when I played football, so I don't think so.
No.
But it's not impossible, I suppose. So anyway, I wasn't very well overnight, and then I thought, do I say anything? And I thought, no, I don't want to give him the chance to leave me out, so I didn't tell Bobby Robson.
Right. And that's the sort of thing, if you'd said, I've been
been ill all night, he might have thought, I'll leave him on the bench. So I didn't. So anyway, I played, and I scored actually after about 8 minutes, so I was justified. And then I started to cramp up towards the end of the first half, and I'm really holding it. I think, oh God, this is awful. But I managed to get in at half time. I ran straight to the loo and had a like boom moment,
Right.
which was, I thought, I'll be all right now. So I went out in
The nice noise you made there. It really.
I thought sound effects would help.
Yeah, I really felt like I was
with
there.
With podcasts, you can't see.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to actually do it during the podcast, because that would be.
Oh, well, I mean.
That would be.
Never say never.
Well, I thought the same about football, but as it turns out. So anyway, the second half starts, and I think I'll be all right now because I've, so I played, but I don't know what it was, 10, 15 minutes into the second half, I started to get the cramps again. And, oh, God, I think I'm in trouble. And then the ball went out on their left-hand side, and I ran out as you had to do, and then trying to kind of tackle him. And as I slid, I relaxed, let's say, and forgot to hold, and it just went.
Wow.
How was that for a sound effect?
Really? Yeah. All of these are going to use as my text noise on my phone.
So this is, a World Cup game being watched by hundreds of millions of people around the world, and I've just done a shit on the pitch, and it's everywhere, and then I think what, and it's funny, because I'd never told the story for 20 years. No one knew, but my teammates knew, and some of my family knew, and friends that I've told, but no one knew. But at the time, but eventually they found the coverage. You can see it back now. And
I've watched it. That's the thing, is that you can't
obvious.
See anything.
You can't see any shit.
No.
But you can see me rubbing my backside along the ground like a dog.
Yeah.
Trying to get, and then
you can see the panic in your eyes
and
as well.
shoveling out my pants. And there's another bit which I always remember, because Gary Stevens, who was playing right back, came up to me, and I was like, and he went, "Are you okay?" And if you really look close, you can see me going, "I'm shitting myself." And thank heavens we had dark blue shorts.
Yeah,
because sometimes you
wear
tops,
white. Though it could have
white tops. Yeah, white tops. Anyway, so I'm shoveling it out and trying to get it and rub it out. The one piece of good fortune I had was that it had rained before the game and the grass was wet, so it gave me some. I could at least, having shoveled it, it's so gross. I could then wipe my hands on the surface of the ground, on the grass. But the amazing thing is, actually, after that, I carried on, and I got a bit more space. Nobody was tight marking me, that's for sure.
I've looked at the clip of it on YouTube, and I was looking at the comments, and lots of people were speculating that was why you did it, that it was actually a deliberate way of getting more space on the pitch and maybe unsettling the Irish team.
I only wish that was true. But then with about 10 minutes to go, I was again struggling. Bobby Robson, he brings me off change, because they kind of knew at half time anyway. So
he knew that you.
Well, I went. I need. Where are you going? Right. I went. I need, my stomach's off and all the blah blah. He went, okay. So I go. So then 10 minutes to go. I'd say he pulls me off, but that's just always a bad thing to say.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Yeah, true.
I've said it in the past. Not about Bobby Robson.
So I started to walk off the pitch. Now, every ground pretty much in the world, you have the two dugouts where the substitutes sit, and the tunnel is between them, and then you just go down the tunnel into the dressing room, particularly under those circumstances.
Yeah.
But Cagliari's ground, no. The dugouts were on the other side of the pitch to the tunnel. So I had to go and sit on the bench alongside all the substitutes. And you can see them all gradually shuffling away from me. And I'm sat there on my own, smelling.
Caked
in poo.
And would you, I've got the Bristol stool chart here. Would you say we're talking, because the way you're describing it there is that you can sort of take clumps of it.
There were no clumps, believe me.
Are we talking a type 7 there?
We're talking...
Or a type 6?
No, full-on sludge.
Right. So for the benefit of the listeners, we're definitely not in type 1, which is separate hard lumps.
No, I can only fantasize about that kind of thing.
Type 6 is mushy consistency with ragged edges.
I didn't have time to check the edges too much.
Type 7 is liquid consistency with no solid pieces.
That would be...
We're in a type 7 situation.
That's exactly where it was, yeah.
And
which might be a good thing.
I think so, probably.
Although very difficult to get in a poo bag. But I didn't have one. No, anyway. Obviously.
That would have been a nice little Bobby Robson turning up.
Sorry,
he does do this.
I think actually my feet might have been in the air when in Italian 90. I think so, because I remember it was me trying to do pathetic attempt to tackle.
Gosh, so you were shitting in the air.
I think that's when I relaxed, and so I don't know on the technicality. We might have to have like, I don't know how we can find this out, but at the moment of whether it was when my feet hit the ground and then it did it, or while I was still sliding, but I'm not sure my feet were on the floor. No. So, yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. That's
scientific first.
Multi-talented person anyway, but now you've discovered you are a scientific marvel.
Elite shitter.
And what sort of volume? Sorry to go into so much detail about it, but that's why we're here.
It felt like a lot. You know, I was shoveling it out of my shorts but it was just like mush.
Yeah.
Mush.
And no one, so millions of people watching.
It's like shepherd's pie.
Lovely, that's perfect. That's exactly the sort of imagery we're after on this podcast. No one watching at home suspects anything. They don't sort of. Well, you don't get any sort of message from family friends saying you.
No, and then no one seemed to know about it. I mean, some of my teammates would have known, obviously, because one of them had told him.
10 metres of you knew. Yeah,
exactly. And I had to kind of. So anyone in the squad knew, and then obviously I told friends and family. But 20 years something later, I'm doing an interview for, I think it was Radio 5 Live.
Right.
It's quite a long interview. At the end of it, he says, "There's always been this rumour that you had an accident in a World Cup game."
Who's he? Who was asking you?
It was, crikey, who was it? I can't remember.
Who's the snitch?
It was someone. No, it wasn't necessarily snitch. I didn't. And I just went, yeah, and told the story, and then it went.
So
viral.
You weren't embarrassed about it?
No, we all shit, don't we? We all have accidents.
I mean, I've never shot at the World Cup playing for England.
Yeah,
so.
At the time it was obviously hideous. It was awful. It was like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
But looking back, I mean, it's actually, it's quite funny, really.
Yeah.
And the fact that it stayed silent for that long. So I told the story, and then it went viral, and then whenever I still think it's the case now. If you Google my name, it generally comes up. One of the first things is Gary Lineker poos on pitch or something. I've done a few things in my life, and there it is, right at the top.
Why do you think that is, though? Why are we so obsessed with it, and why does it become such a big part of your identity almost?
I don't know. I suppose shit happens, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's because it's so bloody unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, in such a big moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really pondered it too much.
No.
Why?
This is the time to do it.
Why it's so fast? Yeah. Because I think most people just actually sympathise with you for the situation that you're in.
Yes.
And everyone else just thinks it's funny.
Yeah. Was that the atmosphere afterwards from your teammates, Bobby Robson? Were they all sympathetic, or were they taking the piss out?
Oh, they were taking the piss, yeah. There's a few of them taking the piss. I remember when I came in at the end of the game, and it was just, you can imagine, I'd have gone straight to the toilet. And I thought, what do I do with these shorts and my little slip underneath? And I'm thinking, and there was a little bin in the loo, and I hid them in the bottom of the bin. They might still be there.
Probably are, yeah.
I think they've probably cleared out the bins in 30 years.
They'd probably be worth quite a lot of money if anyone did.
I know. I wish I
kept them out. The
kept
famous.
Them. I mean, Maradona sold his shirt. Steve Hodge sold Maradoni's shirt for, was it 7.3 million?
I don't think you're going to quite get that for you.
No, but
shit shorts, but maybe $500,000.
Yeah,
I'd pay $500,000 for your shit shorts.
Would you?
Yeah.
No,
maybe just fake it.
I'll try and find some.
Have you heard of any of your teammates or any other footballers doing anything similar ever?
Not accidentally. Gazzy used to let one go in the big communal bath occasionally.
Did he?
He was, yeah.
Sorry,
that would
communal
amuse
bath?
It's not a thing anymore, but can you believe that's how it used to be in sport? At the end of the game, you're covered in mud and whatever else, and you all jump in the bath together.
How big a bath is this?
Well, they vary. Usually, I would say the communal one would be probably like the square or what.
It's a hot tub.
Like a big hot tub, yeah.
But it wasn't a hot tub; it was a bath.
It was a bath. Yeah, there was no bubbles except when people farted, probably.
Or when Gazza shat himself. Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah.
And he would shit in
It did happen on a couple of occasions that he'd do it for a laugh, and you've never seen bats evacuated as quickly.
Sorry. So, I mean, I like a joke as much as the next person, but I've never shat myself in a bath of other.
No, well, Gazza always found it difficult to know where the line was.
I see.
But he was genuinely very funny on other occasions.
Yeah.
But that was.
I mean, it's a very funny thing to do, but that really takes some confidence, isn't it? To sort of know.
He never lacked confidence.
No.
To do a joke.
Yeah. I really admire that, actually.
Yeah.
Sort of makes me want to
I
shit
did in a
myself
way.
more.
I did in a way. I thought, because I could not do that. There are no circumstances in which I would have the, either the desire to do it or I'd be incredibly embarrassed by something like that.
I need to be behind sort of 6 foot of lead before I'm even taking my pants down.
Me too, or a World Cup match.
Or a World Cup.
One of the two.
I've not tried the World Cup match, so I'll have to give that a go. In Italy specifically, it has to be, presumably.
Well, you have to wait a while.
Yeah. Do you, it could happen again, a footballer, maybe not to you, but a footballer, future footballer or a current footballer is playing World Cup, they get the nerves, they have a bit of a dodgy spag bowl the night before like you did. Do you have any advice if it happens now? Because it would be different now. I mean, social media would just pick it up immediately, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, they should do what I do now. I carry 3 these toilet rolls around with me everywhere I go, just in case. Just take one out. There was a time in football where they used to throw bog roll onto the pitch.
Oh, yes.
Like as a paper thing. Wish it had happened in Cagliari. Would have got me out of trouble. It'd be quite handy.
It's one of those things. I shat myself not long ago, but I was home and I was on my own.
Oh.
And
you just couldn't be asked to go to the loo? Or?
I wish I was that louche. No, it was...
what, a little follow-through, was it?
It was a little...
You thought it was a fart.
I was complacent.
Yeah.
It
happens to us all.
Yeah. And I was so mortified. So what happened is I'd had like a tummy bug, and then I had some food, and I'd had like a bit of dry bread and all that. And I went to do a fart, and it was a fart.
Yeah.
And I was over the moon. I was so thrilled about it.
You're easily pleased.
Well, on that particular day, I was chuffed. And so, once you sort of got that confidence back, anything that feels like a fart, it's probably a fart. And I was sat on the laptop doing a bit of emails. It was subconscious.
So you actually shit on your laptop?
Well, I wasn't. The laptop wasn't underneath me.
I think it's important for listeners to
I wasn't sat.
Clarification of that.
I don't sit on the laptop and shit onto the laptop. I was sat whilst on my laptop on the kitchen dining chairs, and they've got like inbuilt cushion, whatever that's called. So it's not an easy thing you can't take the cushion off and wash it. And I thought it was a fart. It was a subconscious thing. Let it out. It wasn't. And
were you wearing anything?
Thankfully, I was wearing some pajamas. So that absorbed the immediate blast.
Lovely.
And then I sort of ran up the stairs because my bathroom is 2 floors up from the kitchen. I ran up the stairs sort of holding on to the pajamas so that it didn't spill out, essentially.
God, this is sexy.
This date's going well, I feel, isn't it? But I had to tell people about it immediately.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold it. I felt like I'd committed a crime or something. I'd done something terrible, and that if I didn't tell people about it, it would go to the grave. It would sort of fester.
Yeah.
So I understand that need to express it, but you didn't have a choice. So if you didn't talk about it for 20 years,
I could have just avoided the question, but I just I thought it was quite. I didn't mind telling the story.
Well, we're thrilled to have you on Turdcast to tell the story as well. And how did it go for the rest of the World Cup?
No, I was fine. No more accidents.
Yeah. You made it to the semi-final, right?
Oh, in terms of the football, we got to the semi-final. We lost on penalties, which was miserable. Yeah. So I'd sooner have had another shit and got through, to be honest.
Yeah. Well,
what can you do?
What can you do?
Yeah.
And do you think shitting on the pitch is an aspect of football where the women's game has a lot of catching up to do?
I don't know. They're catching up pretty fast in all other things, and who knows whether we'll find out in 20 years maybe if someone did a poo on the pitch in the Women's World Cup recently. So,
Turdcast will still be running then. So
well, there was was who was the runner? Radcliffe. She I think she had an accident, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
I did in preparation for this, I did a quick sort of search of famous shitters.
She's your next guest, isn't she?
I would die of happiness if I could get Paula Radcliffe to do it.
I'm sure Paula will do it.
Thank you for telling us that story and for being so open and honest about it. Before we finish, we've got some questions written and submitted by members of the public, and they've been transcribed onto toilet paper in this.
Really? Wow.
So I'm just going to dig in. You're a prolific tweeter. Do you ever tweet from the toilet?
I think I probably have done, yes. It's not a regular occurrence,
No.
but I may well have done. I can't remember an example.
Okay.
But I think it's sometimes
possible.
it kills a bit of time.
Yeah. But none of the tweets that have maybe got you in trouble have occurred on the bog.
No, I don't think so.
No.
That would be quite good. That could be a great excuse. I just I'd sent it before I'd.
Sorry, Tim Davey,
my
but
arse.
I was shitting and I slipped and I pressed send. Next question. Oh, this is an interesting one. Could you confidently repair your own toilet? Like if there was something with the system.
I've had a few issues with my toilet, and so it gets getting blocked.
This is the real scoop.
Yeah, there you go. And I had my plumber come around a couple of times to clear it, and it's quite embarrassing, isn't it? When because fucking stuff just floats, doesn't it? And you just and I remember saying to him, I'm really sorry, honestly. He went, don't worry, this is part of my... I say, I'm used to it. I see it all the time. And I thought, oh, what a lovely job. Yeah. And then he had the plunger thing, and showed me how to do it. So now I do it. Now I do it, which is much better.
Like a plunger with the sort of rubber
it's like
head.
a thing, and you go... What's that?
We are getting so many sound effects out of you on this one.
Yeah. And so I do a bit, but toilet maintenance, I'm rubbish with any kind of DIY and all that.
So you're getting a man in basically to just use a plunger.
Shuffle my turds.
Yeah. As I'm sure no one has ever said about your bowel motions, thank you so much for doing this. We're going to be ending each one of these shows with a fecal fact. And this week's fecal fact is that the brown colour of poo is due to bile from the liver. Did you know that?
I didn't.
There you go. Every day's
you learn
shitting
something,
school day. Thanks to Wikipedia for that fecal fact. Feel free to drop it in at a dinner party. This eventually will be the part of the show where we read out messages from you, the pooping public. Obviously, we don't have any of them yet, but it'll be something to look forward to on the next show where my guest will be Jerry Halliwell. Until next time, take care, be kind to each other, and enjoy and eat plenty of roughage. Plop, plop.
Flop, plop.
Thank you very much for being my first guest on Turdcast.
My pleasure.